Okay, we'll start with this. Our continued coverage of all this past weekend's action on the undercard of MVPW 04. Tiara Brown successfully defended the green and gold title against unbeaten up-and-comer Rapp, who didn't have a whole lot of experience going into this fight, but still managed to show her quality.
Just not enough to win a decision, but at least good enough to go the distance.
In what was an action-packed fight, most of which was fought mid-range to inside, where you saw a lot of hooks, a lot of body shots, a lot of bent arm punches. Neither fighter wanting to give up any ground to the other, but Tiara Brown, I think, was able to impose her will more effectively than Hannah.
Looking the physically stronger fighter of the two and the harder puncher, though not only that, this was educated pressure from the champion.
Educated pressure from Tiara, who spent a lot of time coming forward, though not taking a lot of punishment, alternating the guard, patching up holes here and there as to prevent Rapp from landing cleanly.
The defense from Tiara Brown was admirable, as was the offense.
Because she certainly didn't lay off or lay down. She was taking it to the challenger. You would have thought she was the challenger. How much time Tiara Brown spent coming forward, putting punches together, laying into Hannah. I think Rapp can be proud that she was able to go the distance with one of the best featherweights in the world, in spite of only having a handful of fights.
And I think that Tiara Brown can be proud that at 38 years old, she is still one of the most formidable featherweights in the world, successfully defending her green and gold title. What happens now?
This was a fight that was won with subtleties, very small margins here and there that when you put them all together, make a big difference. I feel that Tiara was able to show the cleaner, clearer punches, the cleaner boxing of the two fighters mid-range to inside, where they spent a lot of time.
Now advancing to a professional record of 21 wins and 11 knockouts, what's next for the champion?
Ellie Scotney. I'm watching how well Tiara Brown was able to handle herself against the very statuesque Rapp, who's no small featherweight. She's actually big for the weight. She's bigger than Tiara, and how physically strong Tiara looked against her, barreling forward, throwing her combinations, and I'm thinking to myself, this is who Ellie Scotney is going to have to deal with, and Ellie Scotney, God bless her, was not the biggest of super bantamweights. She ain't gonna be any bigger at feather.
She'll be smaller.
I'm thinking to myself, I've never second-guessed whether or not Ellie Scotney can beat anybody that she's fought so far.
I picked her to win all the fights that she's had so far, but with Tiara, there is size to consider.
Consider how physical things got in Ellie Scotney's last fight with Miguel Flores, a very short, stocky, sturdy, and durable fighter, persistent.
Pressure fighters often are.
Consider how physical things got for that fight for Ellie, how much she had to move and how much she had to fight off Miguel Flores. And that add more size to the equation, the size of a Tiara Brown, who's just as capable of barreling forward and imposing her will to outmuscle a smaller fighter. And I think that this is going to be a hard night's work for Ellie Scotney.
Catford.
Initially, I was settled on Ellie Scotney beating the winner of this weekend's fight, whoever it is, but now I'm not so sure, because if Tiara Brown decides to get aggressive and barrel forward and push Ellie Scotney around, this is not a fight that Ellie Scotney can hope to win through strength of arms. I don't think she can match Tiara Brown's power.
The most she can do is work around her. Bull and Matador this thing.
But I think it's harder to be the Matador when the bull is that much bigger than you are. Tiara Brown has a lot more ring coverage than Ellie. She's taller. She's longer. Longer legs make for longer strides. Longer arms?
Tiara can cover a lot of ground in just a few steps, and because she's got so much reach, she doesn't need to be close to Ellie to touch her with a jab, then step into it to bring hooks over.
As generic a piece of advice that this might sound, I think it's got to be up to Ellie to make her miss and make her pay. Don't try to match her output, instead counter in between. She's younger and noticeably smaller, so she might have a speed advantage.
Maybe that'll make the difference. If she's quicker to the draw than Tiara and can counter her in between, though at that proximity, it's gonna be hard.
As stated, Tiara Brown can be on top of Ellie Scotney in just a few steps, like she was with Sky Nicholson, and Sky's a mobile fighter. She's hard to get to for anybody else, but it wasn't hard for Tiara.
She was able to stay on top of her. I think she's going to try to stay on top of Ellie Scotney.
I think physically this is going to be a rough night for Ellie. There's going to have to be a lot of level changes. There's going to have to be a lot of bobbing and weaving and slipping and countering. She's going to have to angle off that torso a lot. She's going to have to move.
Pivot.
Get around on the side of Tiara to hit her in the blind spots. It's not gonna be easy. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, reacting to yesterday's UFC Freedom card, where Terence Crawford was in attendance, reacting to Ilia Topuria's upset loss to Justin Gaethje.
Remember that Ilia Topuria challenged Terence Crawford to a fight before he suffered that loss, and to that Terence said, "This is the guy that said he would knock me out and whoop me and Shakur at the same time."
Several laughing emojis. It's no secret that Terence and Ilia have been going back and forth on social media for a while now, so Terence is reveling in the shock upset loss. But to that, Conor McGregor said, "You can wrestle, and yet you are afraid of an MMA fight. That, to me, is pitiful."
Another two guys who were connected to a potential fight.
To which Terence responded, "Shut your drunk ass up and get ready for your fight. I don't have to come and fight in the cage. That's the joy of boxing. Y'all come to us. We don't have to come to y'all." The boxing versus MMA rivalry still lives on, though without all the mystique that it used to have before Floyd Mayweather knocked out Conor McGregor and put a lot of that stuff to bed.
No, it doesn't have the same mystique that it used to. But because Francis Ngannou had done so well against Tyson Fury, and in more recent years Rico Verhoeven having done so well against Alexander Usyk, there is still room for the conversation, and thus it survives.
Does Conor McGregor have a point about Terence? I mean, Terence did used to wrestle. Why not try his chances in the octagon as easily as MMA fighters try their chances in the boxing ring?
Well, there's a reason there's so many MMA fighters try their chances in the boxing ring. It's because it's a victimless crime. If they lose, nobody can hold it against them because they're not boxers. And in the boxing ring, they make more money than they do in the octagon. So there's a reason that you see one more than the other.
If a Ben Askren, who I'm told is more of a grappler and more of a wrestler, goes in a boxing ring and gets knocked out by a Jake Paul, nobody thinks Ben is a bad fighter.
Not really.
In a boxing ring, he's stripped of his ability to do what he normally does, and you tell yourself, well then what's he doing there?
It's the money.
It all boils down to the money, and that is where Terence Crawford makes a valid point. The joy of boxing and being a boxer is it's not the other way around. It's not boxers calling out MMA fighters for an opportunity to make big money. They already make big money, more than MMA fighters do, and we're talking about top-level MMA fighters.
The way it's been for several years now at the UFC, you'll have a guy over there. He's winning his fights, he's doing good, doing his thing, and then you'll start hearing about how he wants to transition to boxing, whether it's Ilia Topuria or Sean O'Malley, Tom Aspinall.
It's always the same.
Francis Ngannou ended up doing it. I've heard rumors and rumblings about John Bones Jones attempting to make a boxing crossover financed by the IBA.
What the fuck?
And it's not for no reason. It's because of the money. Boxers generally make more money than mixed martial artists do. At Dana White's UFC, you can only really make but so much, but as a boxer, you do have more autonomy, more opportunities, thus, it's usually the MMA guys crossing over.
I don't even look at it as a commentary as which discipline is supposed to be better than the other, mixed martial arts versus boxing, because last I checked, boxing was supposed to be part of mixed martial arts, that and other disciplines. So it's always seemed a very childish argument to me.
Oh, my dad is better than your dad thing.
And the feuding factions of fans, neither of which come off as very bright. In the octagon, the boxer likely loses. In the boxing ring, the MMA fighter likely loses. The truth is often more mundane than people would like, but it doesn't stop being the truth. And the truth is, Terence ain't got no reason to go fight Ilia Topuria or nobody in the octagon because he already makes more money than them. If it's an opportunity, it's an opportunity for them, not him.
Because why would you do it? Why would you cross over sports, take on a completely different discipline? It's because of the money. Well, Terence already makes more money than those guys, so there's nothing in it for him.
And you know they're gonna frame it to where it's about having the guts for the glory, the balls to do it, when really, it's just about the money, because if not for the money, they wouldn't cross over.
Why would you to a discipline you're not disciplined in?
So many times I've heard this argument over the years, which combat discipline is better in a real-time combat situation, when I think that both could be useful.
In their own way.
But let's not kid ourselves, because in a real-time combat situation, in a street fight, there are so many outlying factors like weapons, knives, and guns, and bricks, and bats.
To where it ain't about what you trained in anymore.
And there ain't no weight classes in a street fight. Maybe you're a really good welterweight. in the octagon or in the boxing ring, but in a street fight, you might be opposite.
There ain't no referee either.
Goddamn heavyweight. Who the hell knows? There are so many outlying factors in a street fight that the parallel is a tenuous parallel. Which discipline is supposed to be better in a real-time combat situation? They can both be useful, but they can both be neutralized.
You're over here doing your kata. Guy pulls out a Desert Eagle. What then?
The point being, the argument itself has always been childish, and I chalk it up to a baseball player not playing football as good as a football player, and vice versa. These are sports, very brutal sports.
You don't judge the NBA player's abilities as an athlete based on his ability to play baseball.
And you don't judge the baseball player's abilities as an athlete based on how well he can play football. So why do they do that with combat sports? I understand that it's all sports. I understand that it's all fighting.
But it is fighting with many controls in play, many rules, whereas in a street fight, there are no rules. No referee, no perimeter.
And let's be honest, what the MMA fighters really resent about the boxers isn't which discipline is supposed to be better, but that one athlete makes substantially more than the other due to the differences in the sports' framework. Boxers do generally have a lot more autonomy and opportunities to make money more than MMA fighters, so there's always an underlying resentment there.
Sort of a level of penis envy.
But it's not even about who the better fighters are. It's not even about what discipline is more effective in a street fight. It's about who's making more money. It all boils down to the money. So in that arena, it just doesn't make much sense for a boxer to cross over to MMA when boxers generally make more than MMA fighters. So why would Crawford?
Why would he go to the UFC for Ilia Topuria or Conor McGregor or any of them?
Men's heavyweight news, an intriguing set of comments from the Gypsy King Tyson Fury, who may end up fighting Agit Kabayel for the vacant WBC title. I'm number one ranked with the WBC again. If rabbit-face Usyk pulls out of the fight with Kabayel, then I am in with him. If the Joshua fight doesn't happen for whatever reason, then I'll get a shot at three-time world champion against Agit Kabayel, and we'll take it to Wembley.
It's the first shadow of a doubt that the Joshua versus Fury fight would have received since it became a talking point again. Another reason that it might not happen, that now Tyson Fury has the option of fighting Agit Kabayel for the vacant WBC title, provided that Usyk drops it. And he might.
Why?
The close competitive nature of what was the Rico Verhoeven fight almost immediately comes to mind. Usyk's got options too. He can go ahead with the Kabayel fight. He can do that. Or he can run it back with Rico, who to some people was robbed of an opportunity that even though he was hurt, if nothing else, based on how good he was doing, he should have been allowed to continue. The referee waved it off too soon.
It's the basic idea. Usyk might not fight Agit Kabayel next, even though he's supposed to, based on the WBC's order. He might decide to run it back with Rico, and if he does, the title is forfeit, at which point Fury versus Kabayel becomes a conversation.
One that Fury's entertaining, because you see what he said. If for any reason the Joshua fight doesn't happen, he'll fight that guy.
It's already being interpreted in some circles as Tyson Fury's exit strategy, his means to wriggle out of a fight with AJ that he's never really wanted.
That's what people are saying. I see the comments.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with them, but I do see where they're coming from when Tyson Fury already had a tune-up fight. Now he's scheduling another one, so close to when he's supposed to be fighting AJ.
You already had your tune-up fight. Now he's about to have his, then you guys face each other. So you're scheduling another one? Why?
In a tune-up situation, even if you win, you might get cut. You might get hurt. You might suffer a strain or a sprain in camp. A lot of things that could affect the AJ fight. So if you already had a tune-up, why are you rolling the dice on another one?
Some people think it's because he doesn't want to fight AJ. Then he goes and says something like this. If for any reason the AJ fight don't happen, he'll fight Agit Kabayel.
So some people think he don't want to fight AJ. I definitely see where they're coming from, but alternatively, you don't get for Agit Kabayel what you get for fighting AJ.
It's a high-risk, low-reward fight.
It is.
Even if it is for a title, compared to what you could be making boxing AJ, why would you fight Agit Kabayel?
Tyson Fury comes out of retirement. I don't think it was to fight for alphabet titles, and I don't think it was to fight the Agit Kabayels of the world. No matter what he's saying now, he's back for a bag. He's back for the money, and you don't make more money boxing Agit Kabayel than you do fighting AJ.
So I'm not completely sold on the idea that he's walking away from the AJ fight. And what else? Agit Kabayel is attached to Frank Warren and Queensberry Promotions, who Tyson Fury just left.
You make an Agit Kabayel fight a priority, you've got to deal with Frank Warren, who, unless I'm mistaken, just filed a lawsuit against Turkey LL Sheik and Zuffa.
They ain't on good terms?
It's a little nebulous right now. I understand the skepticism. I understand why people are looking Tyson Fury with the side eye, thinking, is this guy about to bail on AJ again? I get where that's coming from, but I also understand that at Tyson Fury's age, is he really interested in fighting for titles anymore? He's already done that.
Was he ever?
The beginning of Tyson Fury's career, when he's climbing up the ranks and doing things conventionally, of course he was interested in fighting for titles then, because he wanted to get at the money. But he's reached a point now to where he doesn't need a title to get at the money.
I think he's beyond that.
And that being said, I'm not completely convinced that this is Tyson Fury making his exit strategy from an Anthony Joshua fight. I would sooner believe that it's some sort of a leverage play to get at more of the things that he might want for a fight that they say is already signed.
Isn't that what Eddie Hearn said? That the fight is already signed, and a part of the deal is that it has to be in the United Kingdom.
It just doesn't make a lot of sense for somebody Tyson Fury's age and at this stage in his career to prioritize boxing Agit Kabayel for a title instead of boxing AJ for a fortune.
I'm not convinced. Those eggs need more bacon.